Just wanted to hop in here really quick before you get ready for your next lesson. If you landed on this video for the first time, I just want you to know that Milestone Monday is an actual series, and I will have that link below in the description. It's tidbits of information from myself, a pediatric developmental therapist who's done this for over 10 years, focusing on little ones ages birth to 36 months. Think of it as having a real-life pediatric developmental therapist in your home. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and keep going. Okay, so first let's talk about why sitting matters and set that foundation. First of all, it's a huge part in your baby's physical development, building that core strength that they'll need for future skills like crawling and walking. It also gives them a whole new perspective. Now they can see the world from a completely different angle, which sparks curiosity and also engagement. And sitting up brings more independence too, allowing your baby to reach for toys and interact with objects in a much more purposeful way. And finally, it's a true learning gateway, opening the door to all kinds of play, exploration, and brain development opportunities. Now let's talk a little bit about the what. Like, what can we do, or what exactly happens to have a strong sitter? Well, it actually starts before sitting. So tummy time is one of the best ways to strengthen your baby's neck and upper body muscles, which is essential for sitting. You can also try supported sitting, which you help your baby to feel more stable while allowing them to build those core muscles. So as your baby is sitting on the floor in a prop position, instead of holding their chest area or their arms, hold them at their hips. And this allows for support for them, but less direct support as they're trying to figure this out. So it's supporting them so they're not falling over, but it's allowing them to have those strong core muscles. And I'll show you a picture here in a minute of what I mean by prop sitting. And as they're ready, let them practice independent sitting on soft, safe surfaces, because this allows them to test their balance and continue developing strength and coordination. And one thing I tell parents is, if you are lucky enough to have a sectional, we actually have 2 couches that I put together to make a right angle, and you can put them in the corner of that. Obviously, this is when they are strong enough for that prop sitting or that tripod sitting, where they need that support behind them. Or you can put a boppy behind them with lots of pillows around them. But until they are strong enough, the safest place is for you to sit behind them so you can navigate those falls, because those reflexes aren't there yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about balance and coordination, which is so important. So again, the what behind it. So like, what are we looking at? What do we need for sitting support? It's actually through stability practice that your baby learns to keep their body in an upright position without needing your support. They may start to use their hands on the floor for a tripod balance, which I'll show you here in a minute, helping them stay steady as they practice. All of this practice helps their brain build important connections that support balance and coordination, which are definitely needed not only for sitting, but also for crawling, standing, and eventually walking. In fact, these early foundation skills are what prepare your baby for so many of the exciting milestones that are getting ready to come next. And then we have increased interaction. So again, the what can we do? So first, they now have a new viewpoint in a sitting position. Sitting upright allows them to take in more of their environment in a whole new way, seeing people, objects, and also their surrounding from a different perspective than they could when they were lying down. Their hands are also now freed up for object manipulation, meaning they can easily reach for, grab, and explore toys and other objects, which helps strengthen fine motor and also eye-hand coordination. Sitting also opens the door to more social engagement. Your baby is better positioned for face-to-face interaction, making it easier to maintain eye contact, respond to your facial expressions, and start practicing early communication skills. And finally, all of these experiences contribute to cognitive growth. You see how all of this is intertwined, right? This new upright perspective combined with increased play, social interactions, helps to stimulate your baby's brain and supports ongoing learning and development. So this next slide has a lot of information, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it little by little so you're not overwhelmed. But I want to give you guys as much information as I can in little bite-sized pieces. That's the reason for the Milestone Monday series, and I don't want to overwhelm you. So if you have any questions or anything like that, want to see a specific topic, feel free to put that in the comments below. Okay, so here we go. I know you initially just want to read this, but I really need you to listen to me because we're going to talk about some things that we need to consider here coming up when it comes to your child's age and ability. So around 4 to 6 months is when you usually see supported sitting. So this is where your baby can sit up with full support from you or with the help of a prop, like a boppy behind them, maybe leaning up, like I said, against that sectional, or having pillows around them, or even at this stage, obviously with you still behind them, because they just don't have those reflexes yet to catch themselves when they fall. So looking at this baby, I could not find a really good picture of prop sitting or tripod sitting, which we use those interchangeably, but this little baby, imagine tripod sitting, it'd be a little bit younger of a baby, but it's doing the same thing. So its legs are out and the hands are right in front of them in a supported position. That's why they call it tripod. So it's like 3. So you have your legs, which are 2, and then your hands, which are kind of in front of you, the 3. So the tripod position. And then again, around 4 to 6 months, this is when you will see that tripod position, which really all it is when babies lean forward and use both hands to put on the floor to help them with balance. Eventually, the reflexes needed for side to side falling will come into place. And then between 5 and 7 months, many babies are able to sit for brief periods without support. But this is what I call the wobbly sitting. They may topple easily and need really close supervision still during this time. So preferably you behind them, holding onto their hips. This is a great place to do that. Not their arms, not their chest, not their stomach area, but their hips. If you are on the bed with them, this is a great place to practice it. Just have them in the middle, make sure they're surrounded so they don't fall off the bed. This is a great way to practice sitting because you'll see they'll fall forward, they'll fall sideways, sometimes they'll fall backwards. It's definitely the wobbly sitting stage. And then we have around 6 to 8 months, this is independent sitting. So this is where a lot of babies typically develop their independent sitting skills, which means they can actually sit upright on their own for long stretches of time without needing to catch themselves. And by 9 months, we generally expect to see consistent independent sitting, which means your baby can reliably sit upright without any assistance during play and daily activities. And of course, I want you to keep in mind that these timelines may shift if your baby was born premature or has a medical condition or diagnosis. So in those cases, we always adjust expectations to match your baby's unique developmental journey. And inside the Milestone Mom Academy, we dive even deeper into how to track these milestones. So if you want guidance on that, you will find the link to the Milestone Mom Academy in the description below. But I'm not going to leave you hanging. For this video's purpose, let me talk about this a little bit more. While it is true, because I know I have moms yelling at me through the screen, hi mama, I see you. Yes, maybe your baby did start sitting up in supported sitting at 3 months. That's possible. You might also have a baby that started sitting a little bit later. But I have also seen where 9-month-olds are obviously sitting up already, they're crawling, and they're even pulling to stand. Some little ones are even walking by 9 months. So you have to take this, like I keep saying, it's a timeline and not exact dates. But if your child is within these ranges, we call these milestone markers, then they're within typical development range for sitting. And just to give you an example, if you're not in the academy, I want you to remember, so if your baby is 6 months old and they were born 2 months early, okay, we're testing them or we're looking at their skills at a 4-month level. So if they are not yet in supported sitting or not interested in that prop or tripod sitting, that happens between 4 to 6 months. They're probably on the verge of that. If your baby is 4 months old and they were born a month early, then they are at that 3-month level. So please keep that in mind. Also, if you had a little one that was born early. Okay, so what are some signs that your baby might be ready for supported sitting? And today we're going to talk about supported sitting and unsupported sitting. So first, you will see good head control. So your baby should be able to hold their head steady without constantly needing your support. This helps keep them safe and stable while sitting. You might also notice they're starting to roll over, either from tummy to back or back to tummy, which shows growing strength and coordination. And during tummy time, many babies will begin to push up on their arms, lifting their chest off the ground, which is another great sign that your baby is strengthening their upper body. And finally, you will see overall interest in sitting. Your baby might start leaning forward, trying to pull themselves upright, or becoming more curious about what's happening around them when they're in a more upright position. So when you do see these signs, it's a great time to start giving your baby opportunities to practice sitting with your support, always keeping safety in mind, of course. And then next, let's talk about unsupported sitting. So again, we have that good head control. That is the foundation of everything if you think about it. Next, you will actually see tripod or prop sitting. Again, just remember that's when you sit them on their bottom and they lean forward and then they put their hands in front of them. You'll also notice strong trunk control at this time, meaning when they're sitting with support, their spine stays in a nice upright position rather than rounding forward or slumping. And another good sign is that your baby is rolling over confidently from both tummy to back and back to tummy, because this shows that they're developing the coordination needed for sitting independently. And during tummy time, your baby may also begin pushing up on their arms, lifting their chest even higher off the ground. This helps to strengthen the muscles needed for balance and sitting. And finally, you'll often see a general interest again in sitting. Your baby may seem excited to be upright, looking around, reaching for toys, and engaging more actively with their surroundings. So when you do start noticing these signs, mama, you can begin giving your baby safe, supervised opportunities to practice sitting on their own. Okay, so I didn't want to stop there. I want to give you guys some information from what it looks like from rolling to walking. And I know today we're talking about sitting up, but I really just kind of wanted to give you a bird's eye view of what this looks like, keeping in mind, please, prematurity or any medical conditions that your child has. But typically, rolling is mastered by about 6 months. And this is in both directions, tummy to back, back to tummy. And this is one of the first big movements that shows your baby is building strength and coordination. And then next we have sitting without support, which typically happens between 6 and 9 months. This allows your baby to practice balance, to build that core strength that we talked about, and interact with their environment more independently. And then from there, babies begin crawling and then eventually transitioning to walking. So this is that transitional period. This is when your baby starts moving across the floor. And again, like I said, that crawling shifts to pulling up on furniture. If you look at it in this manner, isn't it just amazing to think in like 6 months, your baby will have gone from crawling to pulling to stand to possibly walking independently on their own. And then around 9 months, many babies do start pulling to stand and cruising, holding onto furniture and taking those first steps while supporting themselves. So a lot of times you'll just see them practicing pulling up and then learning how to get down, plopping on their bottom, pulling up, plopping on their bottom. Then you'll see them pulling to stand and kind of cruising to the side of the sofa. It's a really good idea. If they are pulling to stand, you can put toys on the sofa or on the couch where they can reach them. If they are getting ready to take those steps and cruise along the furniture, you can put the toys out of arm length so they have to go get it. Another thing with pulling to stand is if you have a sturdy box or something that's a little bit more their level, sometimes it's easier. Think about a little one, sitting, trying to pull up on a couch that's a lot taller than them. If you have something, a bench or a sturdy box that they can pull up on that's a little bit at their level, that makes for some really good practice. And then finally, most babies will begin to walk independently between 9 and 18 months. 12 months is still that sweet spot for babies to walk. Sometimes we see babies start walking independently at 9 months and some not till 18 months. Around that 18-month mark, we are kind of, our spidey senses are going off of, what's going on. Some things we do look at, like, is your baby actually pulling to stand? Are they cruising along furniture? Are they letting go of furniture for an extended period of time? They just maybe haven't had the confidence to take their first step. Or is it something medical that's going on? That's definitely something when you go into the pediatrician's office that they usually assess with their ASQs. But if you do have concerns, if your baby's on a little bit of a later side of walking and you have concerns, I'll tell you how you can reach out to the early intervention program in your state here in a minute. And I want you to remember, of course, every baby's timeline can look a little bit different depending on any medical conditions that I was talking about, or even prematurity. Okay, I feel like we talked about so much today. I hope I'm going slow enough for you and giving you enough tidbits of information. I feel like I've got so much in my head. I'm trying to figure out how to get it to you guys. So any questions or any videos that you want to see, please put in the description or in the comment section below. If you want to join the Milestone Mom Academy, that is also in the description. Feel free to snag some freebies. I have playlists here if you want to look at them, or they're in the description below. Especially this Milestone Monday series is also in the description. I will have a link to the early intervention program in your state. Remember, it's birth to 36 months. Parents can refer to the early intervention program. You do not have to wait for a pediatrician's referral. So if you do have any concerns, feel free to reach out to them, or like I said, join the academy, which have hands-on support from me. All right, I think that's it for today. I will see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye.